Good evening, Rutuja. Okay, let's start with today's session, guys. Very good evening, all of you. Hope you all are well. Continuing with our Java discussion. Last time we discussed about declaring variables and their initialization, then how to declare reference variable, how to instantiate class objects. Then we discussed about different types of variables depending on their scope, and what were the three: instance variable, static variable, and local variable, right? Local created at entry of the function, and when the function is over they are destroyed and they get space on the stack. Instance created on programmer's will, means when you create object, that time they get the memory, and when the reference is lost they are destroyed and they get space on heap. And static get memory at the time of code loading in the data section, and they remain there only till the program doesn't terminate, right? And then about the initial value, I hope you know the rules of initial value. If static and instance, if they are not explicitly initialized, then they will have default value, and I've given you the table of default value, right? And if it is local and not initialized, will it remain uninitialized?
Yes.
And what is the speciality of Java? That Java never allows you to use which variables. Java will never allow you to use which variable? Uninitialized variable. Does it throw an exception? It throws an, does it throw an exception? Does it give an error at the time of compilation only? Variable so and so might not have been initialized, like variable j might not have been initialized. I hope you remember that, no? Isn't it? Now in that context only, if suppose I'm creating one program like this, tell me, I'm writing class test or whatever name, class like default test or default demo I'll give. Okay, and here I'm creating one static variable, static string s equal to double quote, and double quote I'll give hello. Okay, and then I'm writing public static void main string args, and within that I'm calling some method of that string object, s.length. Okay, so length is the method of which class? I'll just save it. This is our folder only. So here I'll save it as default demo.java. Okay. Now tell me, when I'm writing s.length, obviously length is a method of which class? Who is invoking it? S. And S is an object of which class? String class. S is an object of string class. So obviously length is a method of which class? Length is a method of string class, isn't it? It will return the length of that string, whatever the length is. Yes or no? So I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to tell you. Length is the method of string class. Okay? I'm writing javac default demo java and then default demo. Okay? So when I'll compile it, when I'll run it, default demo, it will come to main, and in main there is only one print statement, s.length. What is the length of the string? 5. It will return 5, and that 5 is printed here. Do you see? the output as 5. The length is a method of that string class, and who is invoking that length method? Object of string class. S is a object. Agreed? Now what my question is, if I don't initialize it, static string S, and now if I write system.out.println s.length, what do you think? What will happen? Will it give any compile time error, or will it throw a runtime error? Means will it throw an exception at the time of interpretation, or at the time of compilation error will come? What do you say, guys? Expecting from you people.
Error will become, sir.
Error. But error will come at time of compilation or at runtime? During compilation the error will come, or during runtime the error will come? ठीक है? Runtime. Not at time of compilation. Means at time of compilation no error, because you want to say that whole code is syntactically fine. Means the program is syntactically okay, there is no problem, grammatically there is no problem, and therefore the code will 100% run successfully. Now that is also the point contributing in robustness. If you remember long back in initial lectures when we were taking features of Java, and in that I'm sure we have discussed one feature that Java is a robust language, and in that one point I had told Java does strict compile time and strict runtime type checking, if you remember that point. Getting? Now tell me, first of all, is this S a reference category? Is it a primitive category, or is it a reference category? Only that much you keep telling me the answers. S comes under reference category or primitive? Means is S a primitive variable, or is it a reference variable?
Reference variable.
Why? Because it's a variable of type class. S is capital, means the string is a primitive data type from that A data type. Is it from boolean, char, byte short, int long, float and double? Is it from that primitive data type?
No.
No. So when it is not from primitive, you should always remember it is non-primitive. Every non-primitive are objects, and every non-primitive are reference. So sure, S is a which data type? S comes under which category? S variable. It will get space, that S variable, but tell me that S variable is in which category? Primitive type or ref type? Just now, reference type. Okay, so that point is clear to you. Now, is it initialized explicitly?
No.
No. So as it is not initialized explicitly, will it remain uninitialized?
Yes.
Sure, think again. Will it remain uninitialized, or will it have some default value? You should think and then answer. When you think, you refer to the past things, what you know. Based on that, you take the decision and then you answer. Getting? We are not in KBC. Even for KBC, you have to prepare and then go. Getting? Any dumb person.
Yes, it will be having a default value.
It will have a default value.
Yes.
Yes or no? And what will be the default value of that S?
Null.
If you check
Null.
Very good. Clear? So the default value of that S is null. Meaning, is it referring to some object? Means is yet object created? Means memory is allocated for the instance, and is the reference present in S? Or S contains null reference? Means in S there is no reference. Agreed? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now in main, you are accessing that length method of that S. Okay, so will it give any error like variable s might not have been initialized? Such error will come, or there should not be such error? What do you think? Variable s might not have been initialized.
Yes.
Such error will come. Think again. I purposely ask you because I want to prepare you for the interviews. I don't want to prepare you for the university exam. That you can pass through Google also, no? Because anyway it is going to be an MCQ exam. So you can Google and you can pass. The main ultimate intention is you should be ready for good interviews, good corporates. Getting? Variable s might not have been initialized. Such error will come or no? When such error come, first tell me.
When it is uninitialized.
Yes, means you are accessing a variable. You are accessing a variable in the code, but that variable is uninitialized. 100% right, you told. So is there such problem in this program? Is s, when you are accessing s dot length, you are accessing s, is s uninitialized?
No, it will get default value.
Yes or no? Then you only told that it is not uninitialized, it is having a default value. Therefore, this program, when you'll compile, at the time of compilation, it's not going to give you an error. Should we conclude on it?
Yes.
Getting? So when you'll compile this code, at the time of compilation, see here, there is no problem. Is there any error coming? That error which we were expecting, variable s might not have been initialized. Such error doesn't come. Getting or no? Why? Because s is initialized, it's a static variable, so it will have a default value null. Therefore, compilation problem is not there. But what do you say when I'll go for execution? And that time when it tries to call length method of that s, will it be able to call the method when the object is only not born? Getting? Like the baby is not yet born only. Can you file income tax for that baby? Can you purchase properties for that baby? Can you purchase mutual funds, shares, golds, and so many things for that baby where that baby has not come only in existence? Getting? Think that way. Relate everything in the real world. Always remember, when you'll start relating everything in your surrounding, you'll learn programming very easily. And you'll start implementing good models also. Any system, when anyone say like, this is my shop and I want to automate, you can do it very well. They'll say, this is my jewelry shop, this is my hardware shop, and I want to create a software for it. You'll be very easily able to do it. Why? Because you observe the system, no? The surrounding, when you observe, you'll be able. You go to theaters, you go to shopping malls, you go to hospitals, start observing it, how their systems are made. Getting? So that you can develop such systems very easily. So what I am asking you, can we access any method of that object when the object is only not existing? So can I call s dot length? Is it legal to call the method when the object is only not present? You are trying to call s dot length, but how can you call the length method for the object where that s doesn't have reference only of that object? The object is only not in existence. So will it give you some runtime error? Will it give a runtime error? Java default demo. And I have told you that runtime error. It's an exception. It's having a class name. And this I've told you when I took the point features of Java. In that one feature, Java is a robust language. And in that I told that Java does strict compile time and strict runtime checking. So will it throw a runtime error now when you are trying to access the method via that object where the object is only not existing? Instance only is not created. So can we call the method of that object? No. So does it throw Do you remember? Does anyone know? If you recall that point, if you have attended all the sessions carefully, so just go to that second, third lecture and just try to recall it in that point I've told you. If anyone can tell me, then whatever I'm teaching, I will be really happy for that. No, not a single person, remember? Not a single person. It will throw null, pointer, exception. And if you have noted whatever I have taught you in this all sessions, and if you turn the pages and see, you will be able to recall it. That time I took an example of employee. See, I told you also that I've given a simple example. I wrote EMPE and then I wrote E dot get sal, and that time I told I forgot to write one line in between, E equal to new EMP. Means I forgot to create an object of that employee class. Getting? And I'm directly calling that get sal. I forgot to do this. So that time it raises, means syntactically it is fine. Getting? But you are trying to access the method of an object where the object is not created only. That time also I told it will throw null pointer exception. So will it throw null pointer exception? It's a name of a class in Python. Sorry, in Java. So it's a class name, remember. And you can trap these errors at runtime by using try catch block. When we'll come to exception handling chapter, you'll know it. See a bit. Is it throwing null pointer exception? So can anyone in one line tell me when this exception is thrown? When means obviously it is thrown at runtime. Runtime means at the time of execution. But what is the reason when this exception is thrown? Not a single person can tell me. I'm sure some can tell me. You are hearing me carefully. You are all clever students. I'm sure. Because every day patiently you attend my session, means sure you are interested in learning all that things. And whenever I start taking the session, I always assume the people to whom I'm teaching, they are extraordinarily intelligent. And that way I prepare myself. No? Not a single person will be able to tell me when such exception is raised. No guys, not a single person. Yes, at least Sanket.
Divide by 0?
No.
When
Divide by 0 is not this case. Divide by 0 means when you are trying to do arithmetic calculation, like A by B, and then B is 0. When B is 0, you are dividing, so that time that arithmetic exception comes. Okay? Null pointer exception, when will come?
When it does not get the reference?
Yes, when it doesn't get the reference. Very good. Clear? Meaning when you are trying to access any method via object. See here, this is your object and you are trying to call some method via that object. You are calling that f round bracket via that object. But within that object, what is not there only? Inside that object, what is not there? The reference of that object. Instead, there is a null value in it. In that, there is a null value. There is no reference. That time it will raise null pointer exception. Agreed, guys? Okay?
Yes,
So,
yes, sir.
till here the concept is clear to you guys. Now tell me, if I shift this declaration inside main, okay? Inside main, if I shift it, now first of all tell me, can local variables have this modifier static? If you remember the declaration syntax, I've given you access modifiers, access specifier, then the data type, then the variable name equal to initial value. When I gave that general syntax, then I told, can local variables have static?
Yes.
Yes. He tells everything opposite only. What I have told, na, he is not having faith on me. So he thinks that no, what he has said is wrong. Clear? Everything other is correct. Correct? Think again, my dear students. I have told you local variables can never have static. Local you can have final. Okay, but tell me for local, can I give public, private, protected and all? For local, no.
No.
Getting? Okay. Now tell me, if I compile this code, what do you think? Will it give compilation error or will it give same runtime error which I got it now?
Compilation error.
Okay, very good. Clear? When this line was here with the keyword static, that time you got runtime error, null pointer exception. But my question is, when I'm shifting this as a local variable, and now I'm asking, if I compile this code, is it going to give you a runtime error or compile time error?
Compile time.
What will be that compile time error? Sanket will tell now.
The variable yes is not initialized.
Yes. Now, will it give error like this? Variable s might not have been initialized. Why it is? Can anyone explain? Now you only explain, Sanket.
Because it is local variable.
Because it is local variable. Now he has started following me. Now some faith is coming. Clear? No problem. Getting? No problem. No issues. Correct?
Yes, sir.
It happens.
Yes, sir.
It happens. Correct? So s is a local variable. And as s is a local variable, correct, it will not have any default value. Will it have default value?
No.
Yes, guys.
No.
No. And as it doesn't have default means it is uninitialized. And now if you are trying to access this s, it is not even having null. If it's having null means it is initialized. Getting? With null value. So it will throw a null pointer exception. But that too won't happen because s is local. Check, guys. We will compile it. Does it give error? Compilation error only. See, variable s might not have been initialized.
Yes.
Okay? So I hope you got it. Lot of things I have told you. So many things. Now some trace outputs. And last time I gave you the general skeleton also of your whole code. You remember na, that? The 3 sections you can have.
Yes, sir.
First section is the package, if there is. If there is, the first statement is package. After that, one or more import, if there are. And after that, your classes and interface. Are all the 3 sections optional? Are all the 3 sections optional? Yes or no? Means are all the 3 sections mandatory or all 3 are optional? There is no package statement, there is no import statement, and there are no classes and interfaces. Getting? All 3 are optional. But if they are, then they are supposed to be in which order only? If there is a package statement, it should be the first. If there is an import, then it should be after package. And if there are classes and interface, they should be after import. Right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So just quickly tell me, I'm giving one trace output to this. Not trace output, like just a multiple choice question. Mostly all the MCQs which I give, they are all certification questions. Means not necessary the exact questions you will get it in your university exam. Getting? These are more from the Sun certification books. Okay? Because as I said, my ultimate goal is you become certified, Sun certified, which you can put it in your LinkedIn profile and make your profile more with more weightage. Getting? First one, import statement is there, then there is a package statement. In this, it is just a dot separated path. Remember, this is not at all any complicated thing. It is just a dot separated path. Com is a folder. In that there is a subfolder called ACME. In that there is a folder called toolkit. Assumption is like that: folder, subfolder, subfolder, and in that folder these classes are kept. Agreed, guys? And first tell me, can we have an object of one class as a member of another class? A class, getting, is having a member as an object of class other. See, who is the object? An instance. An instance is an object of other class, but it is a member of a class. Is it possible or no? Yes or no? Tell me. There is one class called student. This is a separate class called student. And then I have created another class called classroom. Classroom. Right? And can I have a member of classroom as an object of class student? Means here, can I have an object S as a student object, but member of classroom? Can we have a no? Same concept long back when we studied system.out.println. That time also I told you there is a print stream class and the object of that print stream is out, which is member of class system. Right, na guys?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So is it valid to have an object of other class as a member of a class? Right? A class is one class and its member is an instance,
Yes.
but which is an object of class other. So it is valid. Now you have observed this code. Now only tell me from this which point you think is valid. Select the one correct answer. Okay? We will read it, don't worry, we will read it step by step. The first one is saying, because now we are not appearing for exam where we have to give some smart things we have to see. Now we are learning, so let's learn all the point. Okay? See here, the first point is saying the class will fail to compile since the class other has not yet been declared when referenced in class a class. Such problem is there in C++. Like if the same thing you do it in C++, you will sure get such error. Getting in C++, it will give you forward reference error. Means in C++, suppose you have created class X first, and inside that you have created one member as an object of Y class, and Y class is declared later. You understanding, guys? If this is C++ language, okay? So in C++, sure it gives an error. Why? Because you are creating an object of Y class in X class first, and that is declared later. So forward reference problem come. Forward reference means you understood, no? You are referring that class already and the class is defined later. But Java doesn't have such problem. Java says no problem, let the Y class be created later and first you have created its object. No problem. Why Java doesn't have such problem? Because, just understand the reason, Java is a two-step activity. Means in Java the running process is two-step. First you do compilation, okay? You do compilation and convert it into a bytecode, and then you run that bytecode. That is, you line by line convert the bytecode to machine code and execute. So what Java says, at the time of interpretation, each and every word you hear, what I'm saying, at the time of interpretation, nothing is unknown. Because the compiler has already converted these codes to bytecode. So when you are running it, interpretation time, nothing is unknown. Y class is known to it at the time of interpretation. You are understanding or no? Is it clear
Yes.
what I'm trying to tell you?
Yes, sir.
Because first the code is compiled and then when you go for interpretation, at the time of interpretation, nothing is unknown. Everything is known. And therefore no forward reference problem will occur. Okay? So this problem will arise in this code? What do you say? This problem. The class will fail to compile since the class other has not been declared when referenced in class a class. I mean, this point is saying what? You are creating an object, an instance of other, and other class is defined later, and you are already creating its object. Other class is declared later and you are already creating object. Such problem is not going to arise in Java. Sure guys? Okay?
Yes, sir.
Then the second thing, see, the class will fail to compile since import statement must never be at the very top of a file. What do you say? Can import be a very top line?
No.
No? Again think.
Yes.
Sanket, he quickly answer it. He never thinks. Think, my dear student. Correct? Yes. Who was telling? Shreya? Others? Now some
Yes.
have taken responsibility of answering.
Yes.
Boys,
Yes.
all boys have
Yes.
decided. Sanket, you answer. All girls have decided. Shreya, you answer. Getting? You are our leader and you both only answer.
No.
No. Others also should participate.
Import
Because I am
statement.
teaching to all. They are not my favorite. All are my favorite. Clear? All of you are my student only. Clear? So all should participate in discussion. Right guys? Okay. So why? The class will fail to compile since import statement must never be at the very top of file. Do you think it is true or it is false?
It is false.
Okay, so
False.
explain why false.
Import should be top statement.
First line statement of code.
Is it necessary import should be first line?
When there is no
Rule-wise-
It's
packages.
not there then.
Now she told right. When there is no package, then import can be a top line. No? If there is no package statement in my code, if I have not written any package line, so then who can be the topmost line?
Import.
Import. But they are saying that the code will fail since import can never be the topmost. They are saying import can never be the topmost line. Getting? But import can be topmost line when there is no package line. Then coming to the third one, the class will fail to compile since the package declaration can never occur after an import statement. What do you say? Do you agree with this line?
Yes, it's true.
It's true, and therefore this is true, but ठीक है, we will go with all the remaining points also, but because like if it is shuffled, if this point come last, okay, so you got it. The third point is true. Sure, na guys? The class will
Yes.
fail to compile since the package declaration can never occur after import. And in the given example, you can see the package has come later and import has come first.
Yes, sir.
Getting? So the error is not because the import is topmost. Import can be topmost if there is no package. The error is because the package is after import. If there is a package statement, it has to be a topmost line only. Getting? We are going to learn how to create packages and all. Okay? So obviously third is true, so obviously all other are false only. But let's see. The class will fail to compile since the class other must be defined in a file called other.java. Is it necessary that each and every file are to be saved in a separate files? Each and every classes are to be saved in a separate .java?
No.
Not necessary. Clear? And the class will fail to compile since the class other must be declared public. Is it necessary that each and every class is to be declared public?
No. No.
No. Clear? And the class will compile without error. That is not possible only because you have written package statement after import statement. Is it right? I'm sure you have understood it. Let's move on. Is an empty file a valid source file? True or false? If I create an empty file, means I'm creating a .java but nothing is written. No package, no import, no classes. What do you say? Just you have to answer true or false.
False.
It should be true, na? Because dot Java is given, na?
Dot Java is given. Okay. But the rule says that all the three sections are, if you go to the skeleton,
It is optional, na? Everything.
it is
Optional.
yes, yes, that's what you told. Correct?
Yes, it is true. It is true statement.
It is true. Correct? So if you remember the skeleton, if I go back to that skeleton page, okay, see, this was the skeleton page, and in that I told part 1 package declaration optional, part 2 import declaration 0 or more. 0 or more means no statement will also do, and part 3 0 or more top level class and interface. So all three are optional. Only the problem is it will get compiled, but you will not have any dot class in the directory. Will you be able to see any dot class in the directory?
No.
Will there be any dot class in the directory? No. Correct? Why? Because there is no class only, so how you will get a dot class file? But it is legal to create an empty file. See here, if you want, I'll create an empty file. We'll give name to it as test.java. Okay, bus, that's all, empty, and I'm compiling it. See here, javac test.java. Does it get compiled? Yes, but obviously in the directory there won't be any test.class. Yes or no? Because it is and not having any single class, and if there are no class, how you will get dot class? Okay, clear to you? Then tell me, which of the following are the reserved keywords? Which of the following are reserved keywords? Select the 3 correct answer. Okay? Okay. Now, is public a reserved word? Does public come in the reserved word category? All the reserved words of Java, if you remember, okay, so in that all reserved words, is public a reserved word? Yes. Is static a reserved word? Yes.
Yes.
Is void a reserved word? Yes.
Yes.
But is main a reserved word?
No.
It is an
It
entry
is?
exit point.
But it is a function defined by we people. No?
Yes.
Does programmer define it? Yes. It's just a compulsory function. It's an entry exit from where the execution start and get over. But main is a user defined function. We define it. So this name doesn't come under which category? Reserved word. In C and C++, you can give some other name also instead of main. Correct? Means you can do any linking changes, and there you can give the entry function name something else also. That provision is also there. Then tell me about string. Is string a reserved word? S capital.
No.
Because it is the name of a class, and our classes user created only. Are classes primitive data type or are they user defined data type? Are classes coming under elementary type or group type? Are classes coming under primitive or non-primitive?
Non-primitive.
Classes, the classes are all user defined and they are user created. So when they are user created, how they can be reserved? And args, is args a reserved word or is it just the parameter name coming to main?
Parameter name.
It's a name of a parameter. So whatever name you give, can I give instead of args, can I give arguments? Can I create a main like this? ठीक है, public static void main string arguments. If I'm writing, will it work? No problem, no? It's valid.
Yes,
Clear?
valid.
Can I just write arg square? Yes. Can I write only s square? Yes. So that is a parameter name. And what should be the name of the parameter is programmer's choice. Only it should be a valid identifier. It should follow the identifier naming rule. But universally accepted by Java community is args. Means the entire Java community has accepted this common name called args. Instead of that, you can give any name which follows naming rule. Clear? So it's clear.
Yes.
Public, static and void. They three are only the reserved word. The remaining are not. Getting? Now next one. Tell me from this which one is the valid main. Actually all main are valid. If you use all these main, compilation won't be any problem. All are valid. Only the thing is which main is valid so that your execution will start from it. See here, which of these are valid declarations of main method in order to start the execution of a Java application. Please remember, all mains are valid. When you compile it, no one is going to create a problem at the time of compilation. Only at the time of execution, you need to have one specific main so that from there the execution will start as an entry exit. So who is the valid entry exit main in this? Correct? See here. The first one is why invalid? Because it is not. First one is not valid. Why? Because it is not public. It has to be public strictly. Okay? Why second is not valid? Can anyone tell me?
Void.
Instead of integer, instead of void, here there is an integer. So the return type is integer, whereas we need to have return type as void. Agreed, na guys?
Yes, sir.
So therefore this first two are wrong. The third one, can you tell me public static void main? Is it valid or is it invalid?
It's valid.
Think again.
So there are no constructors.
Constructors concept comes when we create an object. Constructor, or you mean to say something else?
That's square brackets.
Tell that way. That square bracket is not there. Correct? When we use round bracket, then that is a constructor concept. That array syntax, that array notation. What is the array notation? Square bracket. See here. Public is valid, static is valid, void is valid, name main. This argument data type is string. Only we have not told that it is a reference of an array. Will this be called as just a reference of string object? This indicates that in args, one string object reference is going to come. But we want the reference of an array to come. So we have not written square over here. That's the reason it is invalid. Fourth. Is fourth valid? Yes. Public, static, void, main, string, argument, square. That square you can write first also, or before also, or after also. And arguments is just the name of the parameter. It's up to you, what you want. Getting? So this is 100% valid, and final is also valid. But now you may have a question. What do you mean by that final? Don't worry, I'll come to it. Okay? But at this moment, remember, to main even final word is also allowed. Right or no, guys? So fourth is valid. Now again, fifth is invalid because it is not static, and even the return type is integer. It should be void. It is not even static, and here there are two arguments, whereas it should take only one argument. You have given the argument count also and that argument array also. This is not valid. And sixth is 100% valid because static and public, can we interchange that word?
Yes.
Yes. There is no need of writing first only public. You can write public static, static public. Void cannot be shuffled. Void has to be just before the function name, method name. But these two words can be shuffled, the modifier and the specifier. Getting? And the argument is again string square only. The sixth one is valid, and which one is valid? Can you tell me? The sixth one is valid and the fourth one is valid. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now, we are going to move to another important topic called operators. Okay? So quickly, first we'll discuss about what is operator, then what are operands, what is expression, statement, then we will be discussing about what are the classification of operators, then their priority, their associativity, getting all that things first we will discuss, right? And then we will start discussing each type of operators, as many operators Python has provided. Java has provided. Many times by mistake I may say that, but I'm sure you will understand me. Okay? First we'll discuss about what is operator. So can we say operator is a special symbol? Okay? It's a special symbol which performs some specific task. Means that symbol is given some specific task, like plus, so it is given a task of doing addition only. Star, it is given the task of multiplication. So every symbol, okay, which is given some specific task, so that is called as operator. So what are operators? Special symbol which performs some specific task on operands and return single value as result. Getting? Always remember, operator has to return a result. Getting? Means that operator doesn't return a result is not allowed. It has to return a result because its job is to perform the task, and after doing the task it has to bring some value. It has to give you some result. And how many result? Exactly one. Means there are no operators which return more than one value. Getting? Means in the language there are no operators which return how many value? More than one. And there are no operators which don't return only. Means we don't have such operator which don't return a result, and we don't have such operator which return more than one result. Impossible. They return only one value. Agreed, guys, what I'm trying to tell you? Okay, so I hope it is clear to you what are operators. So they are special symbols. They perform some specific task on operands. Clear? They are special symbol. They perform some specific task on operand and they return you single value as result. Agreed? Now you may say, what are operands? Okay, so operands are program elements on which operation is performed or operation takes place. Correct? Means those program elements on which the operation takes place, that is called as an operand. Correct? So who are the simplest operand? Literals and variables. Correct? Example. Okay, can we say literals? Literals means constant values. I hope you know. Getting or no? Constant values. Constant values means those values which you directly use in the program. We have discussed about all Java literals, Java integer literal, Java floating point literal, Java character literal, string literal, Boolean literal. In the past we have discussed that topic. Those who have attended everything, they might be knowing. Those who have not, please go to the lectures. They are already uploaded. I think already they are kept on the YouTube. Please go through it. Right? If you go through all the videos again, you'll come in the flow track and you can again join now. So literals are constant values. right guys? And the another one is variables. Okay, so can we say literals and variables are operands? Literals and variables are example of operands because they are the program elements on which what is going to take place, operation. A very simple example, like I have written phi plus a. So here plus is a operator and phi and a are operands. Why? Because on that operation is going to take place. So plus is the operator. It indicates that it's going to perform addition. But on whom it is going to do the addition? On phi and a. So phi and a are operand, in which phi is a literal. It's a constant value. And a is a variable. Right guys? And variable. Hello? अरे दरवाजा लाऊन घे. ठीक है, तो phi and a are operands because on that plus operation is going to take place, and plus is the operator. It indicates that it's going to do addition. ठीक है, तो I hope it is clear to you guys that what are operands and what is the operator. The operator indicates what operation, and operands indicate on them that operation is going to take place. Means on whom the operation is going to take place, they are operand. And what operation? That is operator. Agreed guys? ठीक है? Then what do you mean by expression? Okay, so you can say expression means sequence of operands and operators. Getting? In some or sequence of operands and operators following some rule, or you can say syntax. Because only this much part, if you here you forgot to read the next part, only this much, whatever I have highlighted, sequence of operands and operator. So only that much doesn't make meaning because you can create any sequence. No? So only creating the sequence of operands and operator is not necessary. It has to follow some rule, and that rule means the grammar, the syntax of that language. Like I am writing a b plus. Okay, so you can say it is a sequence of operands and operator, but it is not called as an expression because it is not following the grammar rule, or it's not following the syntax. Right guys? But if I write a plus b, is it a sequence of operands and operators? And as well as, is it following the grammar of the language? The language grammar says that operator should come between the operand. Okay? So I hope it is clear to you. Yes or no guys? Yes or no? A, B plus.
Yes.
Can we say not or invalid? Invalid expression because it doesn't follow rule. Getting? But if I write a plus b, is it a valid expression?
Yes.
Because it is following the grammar rule. Whatever the grammar is prescribed by that language. So that language says when you write an expression, it is a sequence of operand and operator, but it should be in this way. The operator is between the operands. Right guys? Okay, I hope it is clear to you. Is there a difference between a statement and an expression? Okay, can we say the statement and the expression? You can say expression which gives side effect. Now side effects means they are doing some change in the memory. Getting? So you can call it as an expression. Like, as a statement. Suppose I am writing system dot out dot println, and here just I write a plus b. So this a plus b is just an expression. Is it doing any side effect? Side effect means, is there any changes in the memory happening? In the memory, is there any changes happening? No.
No.
Getting? But if I write C equal to A plus B, now is it going to do addition and then store the result in C? So the value of C is changing. So there is some side effect happening.
Yes.
Then we call it as a statement. Getting? Okay, expressions and statements are clear to you. There is a difference in expression statement, that is clear to you guys. Now all these operators are classified. Okay, all the operators are classified on the basis of how many operands it is going to operate on. Getting? That is, operators are classified depending on number of operands it is going to operate on. Getting? So on how many number of operands it is going to operate on, based on that we classify operators. Getting? So first is unary operator. Okay, which operates on how many operands? One operand. When it operates on one operand, we will call it as unary. There are many unary operators like increment, decrement, assertion, negation, one's complement, not. Okay, there are few operators in Java which come under unary category. Right, guys? Then we have binary operator, which works on two operands. Okay, and there is a very big category of operator which come in binary. Means in Java, the maximum operators come under binary category. Okay, like binary plus, binary minus, multiplication, division. Then we have comparison, less than, greater than. Then we have shift operator, bitwise operator. Very big category is binary. And last is ternary. Java is having ternary. Some languages don't have. Like some of you have studied Python also from me. Getting? So in Python, there is no ternary operator. But in Java, we have ternary. Same like C, which is going to work on three operands. But ternary, there is only one, the conditional operator, question mark, colon. A question mark, B colon C. Conditional operator. Okay. Now I hope the classification is clear to you. That is one operand, two operand, three operand. Based on that, based on one operand, two operand or three operand, we call them as unary operator, we call them binary, or we call it as ternary. Agreed? Now all these operators follow their notations. Okay. Now what their notations are? Hear everything carefully, because if all these basic things you know, you can solve MCQs. You don't have to Google. You can answer it on your own confidence. Correct? So don't have to rely on these support systems. You should be self-dependent. You should not depend on all the support system. When it is very extreme case, then you can take the help of it. But maximum time, if everything is known, there is no need of relying on other things. Correct? Now notations. Remember all unary operators. Unary operators follow prefix notation. Now in case of prefix, we have operator before the operand. Okay? And postfix notation, where operator is after the operand. Getting? Examples are there, like plus plus I, this is prefix, and I plus plus, this is postfix. But this plus plus is a unary operator. And when we say unary, means it's going to operate on how many operand? One operand. So that operator is before the operand, and here the operator is after the operand. You understanding? But this prefix and postfix, only who follow this notation? Prefix notation and postfix, only unary operators follow. Getting? And binary and ternary both follow infix notation. Binary and ternary follow infix notation, in which the operator is between the two operands. Operand 1, operator, and operand 2. Getting? And that's the reason it's called infix. Operator is between the two operands on which it is going to operate. Right, guys? Okay? So till here, that too is clear to you. Is it or no? Is that point clear? Ki unary operators follow prefix and postfix. Like other languages, like in Python and all, we don't have postfix concept only. Python doesn't support only this postfix notation. Only prefix is there. But whereas in Java, we have both the style. Prefix style also and postfix style.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And binary is clear to you. Binary and ternary. They only follow which notation? Infix notation. Okay? Then coming to the precedence or priority. Getting? So every operator is having its own precedence. Getting? Or we call it as priority. Okay? Which decides the order. The order of evaluation. And this we are taught in school days also in algebra. BODMAS rule was there. BODMAS rule. I hope you remember. Like bracket and then division, then over, then multiplication, then addition, then subtraction. Right? So all that, you know it. The similar concept. But what I want to say, every operator will have its own precedence. Precedence or priority. So it decides what? Clear? It decides the order of evaluation. Getting? Like I've written A plus B into C. Now in this there are two operators. One is plus and one is multiplication. So now which one to do first? Whether plus or whether star? Now if the interpreter if your Java interpreter, if it is following its own rule, like sometime it is doing multiplication first, sometime it is doing addition first, so you may not get correct answer every time. So to the interpreter you have to inform that please do by this precedence rule only, by the priority. So according to the priority rule, star is having more precedence and plus is having the next precedence. Lower. Okay. So will it do B into C first? And then it is going to add that A to that temporary answer.
Yes.
Okay, whatever the answer is, that temporary answer, you add A to it. Getting? Now, they also have their own associativity. Okay. Operators have associativity also. Now associativity means direction of evaluation. When all operators have same precedence. Getting? Now this associativity will come into picture when priority will come into picture when in the equation, means in the expression, everyone is having different precedence. Then according to the order, who is first, then next who, next who. But when in the equation or in an expression, all are having same precedence. Okay, then we have to consider associativity. You understanding, guys? Okay, so associativity will come into picture when all are having same precedence. Example I'll give you. So it is a direction of evaluation. Direction of evaluation means whether left to right or right to left. Like A plus B minus C. The rule says plus and minus both have same precedence. You understanding, guys? Plus also and minus also both have same precedence. Then we have to take into consideration what? Now precedence will come into picture or associativity will come into picture? Yes guys, as both are having same precedence, then what is to be considered? Plus and minus, precedence is same. So what is to be considered? The associativity, that is the direction. So in this case it will take left to right. In some cases it is right to left. In some cases it is right to left. In some cases it is left to right. Okay, so in this case it is left to right.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, I hope it is clear.
And when it is right
But
to left, sir?
I'll come to it. Clear? I'm coming to it. Clear? My whole discussion is not yet over. Here, have patience, hear me carefully. See here, there are some operators in in Java, which have left to right, some have right to left, and some don't have associativity. That is the specialty. In Java, there are some operators which don't have associativity. This is not true in Python. Getting? Like in Python, there is no such situation. Either they will be L2R or R2L. But in Java, there are some operators which don't have associativity only. Getting? So I'll come to it. First, remember unary pre, because in unary both are there in Java. Pre is also there and post is also there. So in Java, unary pre and binary assignment. Okay, assignment operator you know, na? Equal to, and then compound assignment also, like plus equal, minus equal, they also come in that category. It is having associativity right to left. Please understand what I am trying to tell you. All unary, but which type of unary? Pre-unary or post-unary? Pre-unary.
Pre-unary.
Okay, and all assignment, all binary assignment, when a binary category assignment, they have right to left. See, example I'll give you. I'm writing plus, then minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, minus, plus, plus, and 10 if I have written. Now, these are pre-unary. Is it or no? It is pre-unary. Pre, why? Because before the operand. So here the associativity is right to left. So it will do tense assertion. Assertion means keep it as it is. Whatever it is, keep it as it is. So 10, 10 only. Again assertion. Getting? Then negation, then assertion, then negation, then assertion. This way it will go on. So it will go from right to left. And binary assignment, I told you, A equal to B equal to C equal to 10. So first it will give 10, it will copy 10 in C. It will copy C in B and then B in A. Right guys? So these two, unary pre and binary assignment, is having associativity right to left. You'll remember this. Yes or no? In your whole life, till you want to work in Java, you should not forget this.
Yes, sir.
So all unary pre and binary assignments have which associativity? Right to left. Then coming to the next one, unary post and binary relational operator. Okay, binary relational. But according to Java, relational means only this four: less than, equal, greater than, and greater than equal. Java doesn't take in relational category these two operators. Java call them as equality, inequality, and Java is keeping them in separate category. Whereas like if you go to PHP, JavaScript and Java is different. So JavaScript, PHP, Python, Ruby, R programming, they all consider this double equal and not equal also in this category only. They call it as one category called as relational or comparison. Java doesn't take. Java keeps them two aside. That two are in a separate category. They don't have associativity. Getting? So unary post and binary relational operator don't have associativity. Clear? And all remaining operators have associativity left to right. So in Crux, can anyone tell me which one is not having associativity? Binary, relational. Now you'll say means what? Just explain. See here, first of all, in case of unary post, you don't write more than one operation, maximum, increment or decrement, like this, I plus plus or j minus minus. Can we write many operations after I as we write many operations before 10, like assertion, negation, that was allowed, but not after, like I plus minus plus or I plus plus minus minus plus plus is not allowed. Maximum increment or maximum decrement once only. And as after unary operator you can use only one operator, it won't have associativity only. No? Question of associativity doesn't arise. And relational operators don't have associativity, meaning you cannot perform such relational operation. A less than B greater than C less than D, which is 100% legal in C, in C++, in Python. All that languages allow you to do it, even PHP also. Java will not. Java says such operation you cannot do only. A less than B greater than C. So here the question of associativity doesn't come only, no? Whether it will do from left to right or right to left, because such thing is not allowed only. Correct? Not allowed. You understanding, guys, what I'm trying to tell you? As such operation is only not allowed, how can it have associativity? Getting or no? There won't be
Yes,
the,
sir.
you cannot take the order only from left to right or right to left. Right? And I told you all the remaining operators. Now, if I leave this one, which one? Unary pre and binary assignment. It is having R12. Post unary and binary relational having no associativity. And all the remaining will have L to R. You'll remember all this thing, no? Yes or no, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay? And when you want to change the standard precedence, then use bracket. Getting? Meaning to override the standard precedence, use pair of round bracket. Like you know, A plus B into C. Who is having the higher precedence in this? A plus B into C. Who is having the standard higher precedence? Multiplication and then addition.
Yes.
But you want addition should be taken first. Then use bracket. Means when you want to change the standard rule, then use bracket. Now if I put bracket, so according to that, what will be done first? Multiplication or the bracket is evaluated first?
Bracket possible.
So it will do A plus B first and then multiplication C. Right, guys? And only one last point, so that about operator is clear, then we can start discussing each operators one by one. Okay? So one by one we will take arithmetic, then assignment, then relational, all I'll tell you, don't worry. Bitwise, whatever are there in Java. Okay? Okay? So to override the standard, I hope you got it. And one last point I just want to tell you. Before performing operation, getting? Before performing any operation, the operands are fully evaluated. Correct? I'll explain what does this mean. Okay? Before you are doing that operation, that is multiplication, so before it goes to do it, it will first evaluate the operands and then it will do the operation. So it will evaluate the first operand, then the second operand, and then it will do that operation. Getting? So what I want to say is, before performing any operation, the operands are fully evaluated. But my line is not complete, except, okay, in except in case of short circuit operator, okay. Now except in case of short circuit operators means they are called as logical operators, and then this or, and ternary conditional operator. Getting? Question mark, colon. Only in this two case it is not fully evaluated. Remaining all case the operands are fully evaluated. Getting? What I want to say is, like if you are doing logical ANDing, like you are doing A and B, what it says is, if A is coming false, it doesn't make any meaning only to check B, because A has already come false. It will directly announce everything as false, because in AND, when you get true, in logical ANDing, when A and B both are true, then only you get true, no? Yes or no, guys? If A is true,
Yes.
B is true, then only the result is true.
Yes, sir.
So if any one of them is false, the result is false. So what it does is, it doesn't fully evaluate. Means, will it evaluate A, will it evaluate B, and then do ANDing? No. It just checks first A. It only evaluates A. And based on the result of A, it decides whether to evaluate B or not. So in case of ANDing, when it will not come to B, when it will not come to B, when A has come,
No.
A has come what? True or false?
False, no?
False. Getting? So if A has come false, it will not waste its time in evaluating B. Same way, in case of ORing, you tell me. In case of ORing, you know that if one is true, the result is true. In ORing, when you get true, when any one of them is true. And in ANDing, when you get true, when both are true. So in case of ORing, tell me, when it won't waste time in coming and checking for B. It won't check whether B is true or false. If A has come, tell me guys, in case of ORing, will it waste its time in checking B, whether it is true or false? If
No.
A has already come true.
Yes. No, it will not take a time.
Means if A has already come true, one has come true, na?
Yes.
And in ORing, if one is true, directly true.
Yes.
So it won't waste its time in checking B. And that's what I want to say, except in this case. This is called a short circuit evaluation. In this case, and in ternary operator. Now tell me, in ternary operator, I have written A greater than B, question mark, plus plus A. Otherwise, plus plus B. What it will do? For doing this, will it evaluate all three? Will it check A is greater than B? Will it already keep plus plus A? Will it already keep plus plus B? Will it evaluate all three? Or it will decide on the result of A greater than B?
It will decide on A greater than B.
Means, in short, is it going to do fully evaluation? No.
No.
It will do only A greater than B. If A greater than B true, then it will do plus plus A. And if false, then plus plus B. All three it's not going to evaluate. You're getting, no? So in short, what you got to know, that in these two cases, this ternary operator and this short circuit, there only fully evaluation is not there. In all other cases, it will do fully evaluation. Getting? Meaning, example, tell me, very simple skeleton code I have written, a short code. Integer b equal to 5 I have written. And now I am writing system.out.println b plus b equal to 6. Clear? B plus b equal to 6. Will it do fully evaluation? Means, will it first evaluate this b? What is the result of that b? Tell me. 5. Then it will come this side. Will it assign 6 to b? Will it assign 6 to b? Then what is the result of B now?
6.
Then these two results are added and you get answer 11. But what do you say if I change this sequence? Means I'm making B equal to 6 first and then plus B. Now this part is done first. Full evaluation. No? First of all, tell me, is it going to do full evaluation? Yes, because it's not coming in this short circuit and ternary. So full evaluation. So it will evaluate this part first. So will it assign 6 to B? 6 is assigned to B. So what is the new value of B? 6. But when it comes to this side, is B changed to 6? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, because left side you have assigned 6 to B. B has changed to 6. So when it comes here, the value of B is 6. So will it do 6 plus 6? 12. So will the answer be 12? Right? But when I wrote
Yes,
B plus bracket B equal to 6, so that time the answer was 12 or 11. What was the answer that time?
11.
11. Because first it will evaluate this B. What is the value of this B? 5. Then it will come here. It will assign 6 to B. So what is value of B now? 6, and then it adds. But don't try to apply the same rule in C++. There the rule is different. Okay? But in Java this is the rule. So I hope all the points are clear to you guys. Yes or no? Next time I'm going
Yes,
to
sir.
I'm going to ask you all these points. In short, we'll recall all these points. Okay? Whatever these points are, we'll quickly recall and then we will start learning each operators one by one. Okay, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So for today's session, we will stop. Thank you all of you. Please take